Star Wars 7x7 episode 2228. We're about to learn more about the Galaxy's Edge, and we are getting a little bit closer to the release date of even more information. I will explain in just a second. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars land at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, there's the land itself, and then there have been stories to tell us more about the land. For example, the novel Black Spire, or A Crash of Fate, or its appearance in Thrawn Alliances, a comic book series. There's been reference books. We've even talked about that on the show just recently. Now there's something else in development called Tales from the Galaxy's Edge that's going to appear only on the Oculus platform, the virtual reality platform by Facebook, and we know a little bit more about it now. One thing we still don't know is a release date, although I have to say that because of the fact that it is August and Star Wars Celebration would have been at the end of this month, I've got my fingers crossed that we're going to learn more about Tales from the Galaxy's Edge right around that time period. But for now, what we know is sort of the very top level of the storyline, which is that you, as the character in virtual reality, plays a droid repair technician, and that you are caught up in a pirate attack which leads to your crash landing on Batuu. And it sounds like home base for you once you are on Batuu is a cantina. It's a different cantina. It's not Oga's cantina. It's a separate cantina that maybe doesn't have as much of an active patronage as Oga's. It's run by a guy named Cecil Slack, and he is voiced by Bobby Moynihan, yes, from Saturday Night Live, and who was also a voice on Star Wars Resistance. And apparently you'll get to do cantina-y type things like mess around with a jukebox or play repulsor darts, which is the Star Wars version of just plain darts, right? And then there are missions that you'll get to go on that seem to be the main thrust of Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, at least as far as we can tell, which will involve a pirate named Tara Russian, and Tara is part of a Guavian death gang cell operating on Batuu, and Tara Russian is going to be voiced by Deborah Wilson, who is also the voice of, hopefully I'll get this pronounced right, Sarah Junda, who is the former Jedi Knight that Cal Kestis encounters in Jedi Fallen Order. So it's great to have her be a part of another Star Wars tale. The thing that's not necessarily clear just yet, though, is where in the Star Wars timeline this takes place. I did, reading the press release and listening to the video announcement, watching the video announcement, I did get this idea that is taking place sort of contemporaneously with the events of Galaxy's Edge itself. In other words, when you actually go to the land at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. But I can't find anything that really pinpoints that down for me. It just does seem like that's sort of the indication that it's giving you. One thing that hasn't been quite explained, though, is the fact that iconic characters are supposed to be appearing in the Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, and how that's going to work, and also how it plays in the canon and all that stuff. I think we've been given a clue or two about that, though, with these new announcements, and so I will explain the details with that in just a second. I do want to take just a second before I share that to say, if you have yet to rate or review Star Wars 7x7 on your favorite podcast app, I hope you will consider doing so. Just a quick rating and even, a sentence or two for a review does wonders for helping more people see the podcast in their podcast app of choice. So if you haven't done it, I hope you will consider doing it. And thank you very much. So the press release talks about the Cecil Slack character, the bartender, telling tales at the cantina. But these aren't just your ordinary garden variety tales. These are legendary tales about iconic characters in the Star Wars universe, characters in the past. And so that seems to be the way that we will find ourselves getting into interactions with the Star Wars characters that they haven't yet revealed, but apparently are going to be pretty big names. And the reveal trailer they had shows Bobby Moynihan talking about different characters and kind of riffing, basically improving lines like, oh, they got married? That's not going to last long, which, of course, the mind naturally goes to Han and Leia, for example, but yeah, that seems to be the direction in which they're going. So you're going to have the adventure that plays out similar to Vader Immortal, basically, but then your home base for the Cantina would be dealing with Bobby Moynihan's character and possibly being able to be transported in other little side story things based on tales he's telling you. So maybe that's the way that, for example, in Vader Immortal, when you hear the backstory of what happened with Lady Corvax and Mustafar and all that, maybe that's how it's going to play out. And so there you go. That's what we know about Tales from the Galaxy's Edge now, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit more about it later this month. But for now, that is going to do it for our discussion and for this episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.